2019, and we are about to do our 49th Ask Tamily interview. We've almost been doing Ask Tamily for a year. And our guest is joining us right now. Her name is Sass_Tam on Instagram. Hello!
Hi!
How are you?
Good. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Right. Much too long. Thank you for joining us to be our 49th Ask Tamily interview. We are super pumped to ask you lots of questions.
As am I. Well,
of course, we have lots of questions planned for you, but definitely everyone that's watching, please type in questions, and those are the most fun to answer live. So we'll start off with you with our favorite question, which is, when and how did you start the Tracy Anderson method?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I have so enjoyed watching these interviews. I mean, we all comment and, read each other's captions, but you really can't get a sense of, I think, who a person is without, seeing their face and hearing, their voice. So I'm so grateful that you guys do this, and thank you so much, and I'm super, super honored. I just want to say, too, I'm not usually a day drinker, but I felt like it was appropriate, so I've got a mimosa going, and just so you guys know the kind of person I am, my champagne comes in a can, so there's that. So with that, so I first heard about Tracy, I think, back when I was a Goop subscriber, back in 2009 when they had the newsletter, but I didn't really come to it. Well, so a little bit of more backup. So I've always been an uber exerciser. Since I was 15, I've been a nearly everyday exerciser. I just have that body type and genetics that I have to work for every meal that I have, pretty much. So I've always been really, really into exercising, super, super, just very involved with it. I was a personal trainer back in college, and I used to do super crappy boot camps and stuff at the college gym and stuff like that. But always did a lot of cardio. That was always the main focus of what I did. So spinning and running, always a lot of running, HIIT classes, cardio, kickboxing, stuff like that. But I never had great success with the toning part of it. So I knew it was important to build strength, especially for bone mass, things like that. But every time, I'd do a squat, my pants wouldn't fit the next day. And it was just really frustrating because I've always been willing to put in the time. I've always been willing to put in the effort. But how frustrating is it when you spend 90 minutes a day exercising and all of a sudden you're up 8 pounds? What the hell's that? So it was in a moment of frustration back in, it was 2015, that I actually started doing the method. And I think I was just really fed up. I had come off a year of doing really daily yoga. I was super into my practice. I was really strong. I was doing the chaturangas. I was super, super strong, but I just wasn't getting the results I feel like I deserved for what I was doing. And so I think that's what led me probably via a Google search to find Tracy. And I, the first couple, so it was Metamorphosis. And the first couple of times it was on YouTube, someone had illegally bootlegged, the workouts. It wasn't even legit, but it was grainy and blurry. So I'm doing it, and I was like, what the hell is this? This, the arms, and then the standing abs. I'm like, what is this? And then you're down on your knees for 20 minutes. I was like, I hate this. This is awful. This is so, what is this nonsense? But I was in really good shape at the time, and by the end of it, I was like, this is really hard. I don't know what this crazy shit is, but this is hard. And so for that reason, even though I hated it, I was like, nope, gotta keep doing it. I'm just the kind of person that if it's hard, I'm gonna come back to it. So I kept doing the illegally bootleg videos for a week or two, and I was like, I'm just gonna get them. So I got the Metamorphosis DVDs, did them all the way through, and loved it. I had the best results I've ever had with anything, and I was only really doing the 30 minutes and no heat, no weights added at that time. It was incredible. So over the next couple of years, I got a couple of her other DVDs. I got the original Matte DVD. I got the Perfect Design, the older ones basically, and a couple of the dance ones too. And I just kind of not periodically, I would say regularly, but not super long amounts. her stuff I would add in just the kind of my other cardio workouts that I was doing. But I never really like lost track because I knew it was like a thing that was really just good for me generally. And I had heard about streaming, but for whatever reason, I don't know. I had this like mental block where I couldn't sign up for streaming. I don't know. And in 2017, I started becoming aware of like the Instagram community, like the Tamily. And I was not like a part of it at the time. I just sort of like started following people on my personal Instagram, the usual suspects who you might expect. And everyone was like talking about it, and they were like discussing these weekly workouts and like looking so awesome. And I was just like, oh, it's really cool. And like for whatever reason, I just like didn't sign up. Like, what was the issue? I don't know. So I just kind of kept doing my own thing on the side. And then finally, I was getting to the point where I was doing it so much every day. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I just need to sign up. So in 2018, I signed up, loved it, thought it was the best thing ever. Don't know why. It took me so long. And I stuck like more with fundamental and the beginners for a long time just because I felt like that was what I should do. And then in January, it finally, or like in late winter, it finally occurred to me that you could have two Instagram, like, or you could have more than one account. I like never realized that you could. So a friend of mine had a Weight Watchers account, like an accountability account. And I was like, I have two? And so I made one, and I, like, the first time I like put a video up, I was like, oh no, like, what? Oh no. But just since then, it's been so awesome. And so that's why I'm here.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Sorry if that was really long.
No, that's what we want to hear. You've been streaming for over a year now, then?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it was like over the summer. Yeah, that I started streaming. So,
and
not super long, no.
Are you doing advanced now or attain now?
Yes. So I would say, like, since I started posting, that was kind of the time that I switched over to attain, and I'm pretty much an everyday kind of attain girl. So I will sometimes do fundamental as like an add-on ancillary class, like a double, if you will, or like later in the day I'll do it again, but pretty much always attain.
What's your routine around dance cardio besides your fun videos for us?
Those are separate. That's like a whole other thing that deserves its own conversation. But the actual dance cardio. So I just want to say, dance cardio is like something that is legitimately extremely difficult for me. Like if you were to go for a walk just down the street with me, you would have to redirect my body out of the way of smashing into like for sale signs and like other people, cars. Like I have such poor spatial awareness. Like everyone has intelligences, right? Like certain things that their minds are just good at. That is not me. I have never been an athlete. While I'm a person that exercises, I am not an athlete. Like, don't throw a ball at me because, like, I don't know what to do with it. You should see me try to play basketball. It's, like, horrendous. And so doing dance is, like, an extraordinarily challenging thing for me. So I, of course, like, I hated it the first couple of times I tried to do, like, the metamorphosis dance, you know? But it's just been this thing that I think, you know, continuing to stick at it and continuing to do it, staying within a level that's, you know, achievable and attainable for me. I mean, when I watch, you know, Courtney doing these, like, catapult, like, no, that is not for me. That is for other people that are not me. And that's great. But, you know, doing the actual, just even the low impact and the bonus cardio segments have been awesome. I really love those. Those are, you know, you can do those. They're followable. You're not going to hurt yourself like I have in the past trying to do catalyst dances that were too much for me. And it not only is it a great workout, but it's very mentally stimulating. And so I have found that it's just been a really great thing for my own just agility. I mean, even Ben, my partner, he's commented, like, we went to a trip to Patagonia last year, and he was like, you're like leaping from rock to rock like a gazelle. Like, this is not movement I've ever seen you do, you know? So it's just been awesome. So I would say I pretty much, as far as my routine goes, I add in dance cardio like a solid 3 to 4 times a week. And I usually do the low impact, or I'll do the 15-minute bonus cardio, and then I'll just do it like twice.
Okay. Very cool. Well, we think you're maybe a little more skilled at dancing than you think you are. So
well, that's very sweet of you to say, but I'm really not sandbagging myself. Like, it's really hard.
there's a lot of people calling you a liar in the chat, but there's also some questions. So we would like to know from Tamilasia if you can make us a playlist.
I make weekly playlists, actually, and my profile has my Spotify,
Okay.
whatever that is,
Yeah.
I shorten the link or whatever. It's Cassie Padovani, Padovani. I'm probably the only one out there on Spotify. And yeah, check me out. I've got weekly playlists that I do for the attains, and I mean, I can make a special playlist. If anyone wants me. I also love making like requested playlists. So if anyone wants me to like feel their energy, I can give them one. I'm totally happy to do that.
I request the dirtiest hip hop playlist you could ever make. That's what I want.
Done and
okay.
Done. Now I know what I'm doing with my Saturday night. We're good.
So there was actually a couple of questions about the Spotify. We've got another interesting question in the chat, and I think we might have like 15 chat questions, so I'll have to scroll through.
Just keep them coming. Yep, I'll just shorten my answers. Yep.
Who is your spirit animal?
Like in the Tamily or generally? I'll just answer both. Okay. In the Tamily, 100. Well, God, there's so many. I mean, it depends on what dimension of myself, right? I would say Cat is probably my most spirited. My most spirited spirit animal. I mean, she brings out this element in me that, like, I have to admit I was somewhat reticent to share with the general internet, but she has definitely encouraged me. To say that I need to come out of my shell isn't quite the case, but I mean, she's certainly helped unearth that more. Katie Instagram is like my homegirl. I mean, I don't even know if she's out there listening right now, but she's basically like, I wish you were my best friend. And I wish we lived near each other so we could hang out. I don't know. I've never met her, but I just sort of feel like we would be best friends if I could, in real life.
I think that's true, because she couldn't watch today, so she messaged me and she asked me to ask you 3 questions.
3?
So now's probably a good time for Katie's questions. So her first question is, when it comes to peanut butter, are you going to be crunchy or creamy?
That's such a good question. So I do the grind your own, when you go to the grocery store, you hit the button and it like grinds it. There's not an option for chunky. So I have to default to the creamy, but there is something about the chunky that's very, like, the texture is very appealing. So I have to default to say creamy, but if I had an option, I think I would go with chunky.
I might agree with you. Her next question is, I'm adding it to the list. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Tell us 2 truths and a lie.
Oh, God. That's like the classic icebreaker. Like, you're at work, like it's a new job and you have to, or like a networking group or something.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I forgot the order to do them in. I grew up with a climbing wall in my house. I have dual Italian and U.S. citizenship, and I have a map collection.
Okay. I'm going to ask people in the chat to say what they think is a lie. I think some people think they're all true.
They're not.
Okay, I think Miriam is saying the last one is a lie. Okay, yes, the map is a lie.
Nope, have an extensive map collection.
Seriously? Wow.
I can show you. My living room's kind of a disaster right now because I have a mattress kind of lying on the floor and like a shit ton of boxes, so I don't like totally want to show you, but I do have actually an extensive both real map and fantasy map collection.
Wow. So what's the lie?
I don't have dual citizenship.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Tammy,
I just made up something random. I don't know.
Okay. Well, that was fun. Her final question for you is, what's your favorite 90s movie?
Probably Clueless. Well, I shouldn't just answer. Well, no, maybe that's the way you're supposed to do it. Yeah, probably Clueless.
All right.
I love that movie. But there's so many good movies, like The Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
The Matrix. No, just kidding. Titanic, 97.
Oh my goodness. So, while I look through all these other questions, why don't you tell us a bit about the results that you've had from the method?
Yeah, I mean, I used to think like the body that God gives you is the body God gives you, and there's a finite amount that you can do with it. And I was just like, oh, well, I'll just have gigantic thighs forever. And like, whatever I do, they'll just become bigger. And there's nothing I can do about that. But I mean, like, her method, like, I gotta say, like, it's doing stuff to my thighs that I didn't know was possible. Like, I didn't know this could happen. And I'm not a person, I don't like eat pizza every day. Like, I keep it, reasonably well controlled as far as like my diet goes and stuff. But, I mean, I don't like eat no grains and like just only vegetables and pure proteins and things like that. I live a life and eat lots of dark chocolate. And it's like really awesome to find a method that like works for all of that, Like, and it's also pretty cool. Like, you look at Tracy and you're like, so she's 5'1", she probably weighs 100 pounds. I'm 5'3", probably weigh 120 pounds. Like, if it's working for her, it should work for me too. Mm-hmm. And she has a history, she didn't always look the way that she looks, and that's always I think a very encouraging thing, a very relatable thing. There was a period of time in college, I studied abroad in Italy for a summer, came back like 20 pounds heavier. Like, I get it. Like, when you have a lot of extra weight rolling around on a small frame, it doesn't feel good. So it's really, yeah, I would say just like I feel very balanced, and I feel very like what I have right now is just very sustainable. Like, and it feels like it will continue to be sustainable, right? I mean, everyone's been in those phases in their diet, exercise journey, such that it is, where they're like just white knuckling it, like you're like, maybe you're preparing for a vacation and you're like, oh God, if I have a burrito, it's all gonna go to hell. And like, you just know, like, this isn't really meant to last. And I think a lot of people go through that. And I mean, she's talked before about, she's like, yeah, like I take care of myself. Like, I take that really seriously. But I mean, she said, like, if she has like a chocolate bar, she does something, she's like, the world isn't gonna end because I've been doing this for so long. It's so consistent, it's so sustainable that like I can afford to do that, and she can afford to keep doing what she's doing probably into old age, and so can the rest of us, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing. And so many people have had babies and gone through so many surgeries and just so many injuries and so many different things that affect their bodies, and they're able to keep doing this. Like, that's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Okay, so Tam in Toronto would like to know,
hey Haley,
what are your favorite jams for dance cardio?
Oh, I see. And that's funny that she asked this question because she just shared with me a Metamorphosis like playlist for the dance cardio portion, and I like could never make up my own music for that. Like, I was just slaving away at that, like, European house techno or whatever that is for years. Like, because I just was like, oh, must use same music. And so I don't actually usually change the music that often for dance cardio because I'm like convinced that the beat will get off, and it's hard enough for me to track what Lashana's doing already, let alone add another layer. So I don't really change the music up for dance cardio except I'm doing like my own weird funky freestyle thing. I mostly just do my own music for the mat workout.
Okay. Rachel says, how cute are you? Which I'm not sure that you're supposed to answer, but I thought I would.
It's not a question, but I like it.
Nicole would like to know, thinking back to your very first TA workout, what advice would your now workout self say to your first time TA workout self?
This is totally normal. Like, there's nothing wrong with this, first of all. I felt embarrassed even doing it in my living room. Now I'll I'll do it on my driveway. I don't give a shit. Like, I'll do it anywhere. Yeah, maybe just like push through. Like, this isn't that weird. Don't be such a baby. I don't know. Don't be dramatic.
I need to give myself that advice now. Still.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
We are Tam Nation. Said, what brand of rakes do you use?
Whatever was on sale at the Home Depot. Oh my god. Or actually, it's probably not even something we bought. Probably like a neighbor, like a kind neighbor that like took pity on our like broke asses, probably gave it to us or something. I got all my beverages here, as you can see.
Well, this is a good time for this question. CRFOU _ Tam. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yes. She said, should we do a drinking game? Every time Sass says Tam, we take a sip.
Oh, y'all gonna get real effed up in the middle. Well, actually, no. It's happy hour somewhere, so by all means.
Absolutely. That's so super fun. Let's see what other questions are in the chat. Okay. What celebrity would play you in a movie?
Well, people always. Do you ever see that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding? Like back in the day?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was like 13 or 12 when that came out, but people always used to tell me that I looked just like Tula, you know, the main character.
I could see it.
Yeah. Well, she's Greek and I'm Italian, so it's kind of similar. Maybe her, I guess. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that's a lookalike now. I don't know. So I forget who it was, but someone on one of my posts one day was like, "You look like Jennifer Aniston." I was like, I have never heard that, but that's good. Like, we can go with that.
Maybe a mix, because I think you're prettier than Tula, whatever, I don't know her real name. So maybe a mix between the two. We would also like to know, what is your favorite beer?
So I live in Wisconsin, which is like, kind of how we do it here. I'm really into sour beers, actually. So there's different varieties, but they tend to be like, tend to be called like wild ales, or I never say this right, so like don't crucify me if I'm saying it wrong. There's some beer snobs out there, but I think it's Gosa. It's spelled Gose. It just has like, it's kind of a fruity vibe, but it's not at all sweet. So I don't like sweet at all. I don't like sweet cocktails. I don't like hard ciders, things like that. I also just like a very classic Pilsner, like a very refreshing, honestly, Corona, is a good choice. I think anything that's like very summery and kind of hazy, unfiltered beers I like too. Not like, I don't like stouts, anything that's like bourbon, barrel, aged stuff, like anything really heavy. Although I do like a Guinness.
Okay. Very eclectic beer sensibility.
Well, you have to here, so.
Well, We Are Tam Nation would like to know, what would you like to see more of on Tam Nation?
Ooh, well, first of all, just generally. Okay. I mean, I just always want to know more about like everyone and like what they're doing, like what their situation is. Like, I always appreciate when people kind of share a little bit about like what's going on, or like if they're going on vacation or something's happening with their kids. And that's why I love these interviews so much, because you just really get a glimpse of someone. I mean, you get a sense, of someone's personality, but there's only so much you can do with captions, or comments, and stories. So I think I want to like know more like who people are and like what their deal is and like what they're into, their points of view, just stuff like that.
Awesome. So do I. We still have a ton of questions in here, I think. Lots and lots of comments. Let's go to one more planned question.
Okay.
Oh, good one. Who in the Tamily inspires you?
This question. I mean, we could take the whole rest of this interview to go through that, truly. I mean, so many people. Like, from the moment I wake up, it's fun how there's like this ritual cascade of posts throughout the day, and you're used to seeing, like, I'll never forget when Rachel switched to PM workouts. I was like, whoa, like, this is blowing up my worldview here. But, you know, I wake up and there's, like, the European girls. Well, actually, usually it's the Australian girls first who have, like, long ago done their shit. And then there's the European girls, like Iva, and, like, maybe, you know, Alexandra will be in there somewhere, and Charlotte. And then you'll get the East Coasters who are a little bit ahead of me. And so I'll see Kristen. I'll see her. She's usually like the very first person that pops up, actually, for me. And then Anna and people like that. And then, you know, throughout the day, just like the usual who you expect to see. And then, you know, later on when I'm leaving work, I'll see Katie. And then later on, I'll see Kat. And then you have, like, your night shifters. So there's Nat and Caitlin and people like that. I think genuinely, and I mean this in a very genuine sense, everyone is in their own way very inspiring, because though we're all drawn here for a similar reason, you know, there's one commonality between us. And I think, you know, there probably are some key similarities personality-wise amongst the Tamily. I think we're all very type A, very perfectionist, very high performers. I think if you laid out all of our CVs against each other, you'd see some impressive shit. And so everyone we're drawn together by this one thing, and there's probably some similarities. We all have very different life situations. We're scattered across the globe. People are in just very different circumstances when they're coming to this. And they have very different backgrounds with fitness, with eating, with all of that, which comes with the lifestyle. Yeah. And I think we all offer something that's very different. And so any given day, you know, any given post, someone might share something that you connect to, that speaks to you, that you feels like resonates, or you might learn something totally different. And I really value that people share that vulnerability. They share that intimacy with the greater world, but more specifically the Tamily. And I really value that every single person has something just different to teach me.
Absolutely. It's an excellent way to put that. We're going to switch back and forth from the chat and the planned question.
By all means.
We've got a beauty question for you.
Ooh.
What do you use for your brows, and what color lip are you wearing?
Look, what do I use on my brows? So this has been the greatest thing that I've discovered, because I love beauty, but I cannot express to you how lazy I am. Like, I cannot tell you. So what I've been doing for the past couple of years is I get a brow wax and a tint. The greatest thing ever. And then you don't have to, like, just obsessively be filling them in every day, because I don't need to look good in my job. Like, I mean, I wear a dress and people are like, whoa, someone's fancy. So I don't have to do a lot, but it's just the easiest thing. I mean, you just go in once every 4 to 6 weeks. They do a little tint thing. If I do fill them in, I use the Anastasia Brow Wiz. That is a great tool. It's very fast. It's very easy, and it seems to stay on really well. I'm not doing this whole, like, filling in with powder thing. I just like the pencil. It's super quick. And then my lip color, I actually have it in my pocket. So this, I think it's Illa. I don't know if anyone can see that if I hold that up close. And the shade is Strike It Up. And I actually like this a lot, because I'm not going to be, like, spending time filling in and, like, doing all this priming. It's just, like, the consistency of it is not like a stain. It's not something that's really indelible and you've got to nail just right. So you can kind of throw it on almost like a semi-gloss in a way, and then you just kind of move it around and it works. It does the job, so.
Excellent. Thank you for the beauty advice. Tell us what something is that you have learned from Tracy.
So Tracy always talks about balance and consistency. And, like, people talk about it too. And for the longest time, I always thought that she just meant, like, show up every day and do your workout. Like, I thought that's what she meant by consistency. But it's kind of taking on something, like, more for me than that, just over the course of doing her workouts and being a part of the method. I have a history of having some very unhealthy behaviors with eating and with exercising. for the better part of my 20s, I would say. And it took a long time to work one, to really acknowledge that there was a problem, and then to, like, step one, acknowledge you have a problem, and then work my way back from it. But finding a place of balance with it has been unimaginably difficult for me. And partially that's because the nature of my eating disorder was such that it would, it vacillate with these, especially when I was working as a nurse in ICU, I would work 12 hours a day, on my feet all day, run 5 miles, and barely be eating 800 calories a day, And then I would, the weekend would hit, and I would, you would be shocked at the amount of food that this little body can put away. And it was just, and then, the feelings of shame would follow that, and then, the withholding and all of that would follow. And so just these, horrible patterns. And so finding this method has been, among many key factors, been a really important thing in helping me attain that consistency and that balance that I really just have so desperately needed for so long. And so, yeah, I'm showing him up to my mat every day, but it's a little more than that.
Yeah.
And she really preaches the importance, I think, of doing what you're doing in a sustainable way, not hurting yourself, not pushing yourself, not punishing yourself. And her method really preaches kindness to yourself as well, being proud of what you can do and giving yourself the space to grow and learn, and trying to compare yourself just to yourself, which is such an important lesson. So, yeah, it's finding a sense of balance that I honestly didn't even really know that I needed, and didn't know I was going to find from her so much, but has been a really, something I'm really, really grateful for.
What do you think is the impact of the method on your self-confidence?
That's a good question. I mean, it's hard to say, because on the one hand, I'd like to say that, I don't care how I look. Self-confidence comes from within, and that's not really true. That's not sincere. And certainly being able to feel comfortable in my own body in a way that feels sustainable is something that has been I can't emphasize how grounding and how good it has been just for my sense of inner peace. I've always been an outwardly very confident person, but I would say most of my 20s, I didn't feel really comfortable on the inside. And so, oddly, I'm doing this workout that's giving me, better abs than ever. But, it's also just making me chill out more. The amount of mental and emotional and psychological energy that I used to devote to what am I eating? How much am I how many calories did I burn today? All of that inner discourse, the amount of energy that I put towards that was completely robbing me of the ability to live a life that was enjoyed. And this certainly has given me the ability to quiet a lot of that and just be more present. So in a sense, that's allowed me to just kind of be the person who I am a little more, and not have that detract from my self-confidence. If that makes sense.
Definitely. So now, we have a question from Aggie, and she always asks wonderfully deep question.
Lay it on me, Aggie.
Her question for you is, and it says question 1, so she must have more. If a genie granted you 3 wishes, what would you wish for yourself?
For myself, so I can't pick world peace. A lot, that could be for myself. No, I mean, I do genuinely wish, I wish all people to have the ability to live their lives comfortably without needing to inflict pain on others. Let's put it that way. I do genuinely wish that for myself. For myself, I also wish, I do also for myself wish that the world could become a sustainable place for all creatures, and that we could find a way to live in harmony with the rest of our planet. Otherwise, great abs. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, may God grant me the ability to just live a life that is, that I can be who I am and represent myself without bringing any undue hardship on anyone else, but also helping to, if you can help one person, right?
Definitely. I found Aggie's second question, which is, what is the biggest lesson your mother taught you?
Always the Freudian ones. I love it. So my mom, definitely from my mom, I would say the number one lesson she has taught me is the value of curiosity. So my mom is not the person you go to when you are pretty sure you have a situation figured out and you've already got your perspective nailed down and you're just looking for someone to like reinforce that. That's not the person you go to. Because when you go to her with what you think you know about something, she's immediately going to lay out for you all of the things that you have that you've just not bothered to consider or pointedly refused to consider. And she refers to it as her devil's advocate. We're playing the devil's advocate all the time. And it used to piss me off so much. Just like, no, Mom, I know, you don't know. Like, you're coming up with this stuff. It's not helpful. Mm-hmm. But as I've gotten older, I've realized the value of that curiosity can be really tremendous, I think, in your relationships or even just your everyday interactions with people. I mean, if you can approach a situation not as reactive as you might want to be, even if, your immediate response is to say, like, what you're doing and what you're saying impacts me X, therefore your motive is clearly X or Z. I think if you can try not to do that as much as you can, if you can just sort of like be interested in what that person's like perspective is or what they might be feeling, what they might be going through, I think you support that person a lot more than you might have been able to otherwise. And I think that you take away something very different than if you just sort of like assume that your first blush, first glance read on it is the correct one. So I think that curiosity that she's tried to, like all of our parents, what they're trying to teach us from the very beginning takes us a long time to eventually come back to it. But I think that she was always trying to give me that lesson. And as I've gotten older, it's something that I really do try to apply in my relationships. How much of it is really about me at all, and how much of this, is whatever your particular perspective is that I'm just not appreciating.
It's a very, very good outlook to have. We have a little bit less of a serious question. We'll go to now from Kat. Does your BF call you Sassy or Cathy?
He's not the one that gave me the Sassy. No, that's actually my best friend. And it's I had this nickname in college called Sassy Baskets. That was like my nickname.
Okay.
And she just she stuck with the first part of it. So she's really the only one that calls me that, but that's where that came from. He doesn't call me that. No, he's very supportive though of this whole thing. So
that's good. Well, definitely fitting. A few people would like to know what sour beer is.
I don't know if I actually can like tell you like how it's brewed and like what makes it so, but it tastes sour for one. So it's just a taste profile. If nothing, I can tell you this at least. It's a taste profile that's just it's not at all sweet. It's very sour. It's not hoppy. So people have probably heard of IPAs, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I hate IPAs. I don't like the hoppiness. It's too bitter for me. So it's very, very different than that. It's much more mellow, but it's got this bite to it. So it's often brewed, I think, with citrus elements, super common. And it just gives it, like that sour flavor.
Okay. We're having a beer lesson.
We could have like a little tasting. I could host like a little tasting sometime. Maybe.
Yeah, that would
do that.
Fun. We have a question about your profession from Denise. She said, I bet you're the best PA. What made you choose that profession?
I'm actually a nurse practitioner, but that's okay because we're pretty much interchangeable, I think, in most states. So just for anyone that doesn't know, I'm a nurse practitioner. And what that means is I started my career as a nurse, as a registered nurse, and then while I was working as an ICU nurse, I went back to school and got my master's degree in nursing. And what that enables me to do, and then you sit for a licensing, and you sit for some extra credentialization. You have a license to prescribe medications. I have a DEA license, so they're tracking me with the opioid epidemic, of course. And you basically are a provider in your own right. Your ability to do things is very dependent state by state. So in the state of Wisconsin, technically nurse practitioners can function autonomously. However, I think in practice, that does not actually happen to a fair amount. I mean, certainly in some rural areas where there's very limited access to care, that may be happening. But I live in Madison, Wisconsin, which is the capital of the state. I work at a huge level 1 trauma transplant center. So I'm not just like doing my own thing. So I work in interventional radiology, which is procedural medicine, essentially. We do minimally invasive procedures, and it's all very collaborative. And so what brought me to that is, I was a nurse after college. I initially wanted to go to medical school, did all those classes, the MCATs, and the whole shebang, and just knew that life wasn't going to be for me, and knew I just really didn't want to put in just all the time that I knew it would require. So I had it in my mind that I would want to become like an NP, because it's a nice balance of, you are a provider, but you typically have very normal working hours. You have, I think, a much better work-life balance than I think to be a physician. I'm very, very in awe of physicians. I mean, they work so hard. They're working truly 24/7, and I just don't have it within me to do that. So it's been a good fit that way, and you get to use your critical thinking skills and things like that. And
it's very interesting. I love learning about what different Tamily members do.
Yeah, totally. Me too.
The Tam Nation would like to know what your biggest pet peeve is.
Generally, oh God. So I'm one of those drivers that sometimes I'm driving around in Madison, and it's a very it's like a very nice place to live, and people are really nice and stuff. But sometimes I'm like, everyone here drives like they have nowhere to be. Like they have nothing to be doing with their time. And I'm just out driving, just aimlessly, like green lights ahead. No, not trying to make that or anything like that. So I probably am just a road rage kind of driver. And where I grew up especially is kind of like that. So I think that's probably informed that.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Chicago, or a little bit outside of it. So not far from here, but a lot more road rage down there.
Yes, that's for sure. A couple people would like to know what brand your overalls are, and someone guessed Oshkosh Begosh.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing if I could fit into those. Although some people, some petite women wear kids' clothes because they're a lot cheaper too. In fact, there's people that have been talking about the Lululemon tights. I've not tried them, but they're the girls' brand and they're cheaper. This is Madewell, so it's like the sister brand to J. Crew. It's kind of like the trendy or younger sister. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
On sale.
That's definitely good enough. Now we want to know about your mascara.
So I would say Benefit Rollerball makes the best mascara. And I really like the curved wand. I think that really, I don't mess around with curling my lashes or anything like that, but I think it just gives it that additional lift. And I also tend to apply my mascara in the car, which I don't recommend, but I'm just saying is what I do. And for whatever reason, I'm a lot less likely to poke myself in the eye while I'm doing it and not looking. So I think I think they make several good mascaras. I also use their Real brand, or their Real line as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they nearly look fake. They're awesome.
Oh, I will say, I use Babe Lash, which is this, Latisse-esque serum that's completely over the counter. You don't need a prescription for it. And it has definitely made a difference just in the length and the overall, texture of my eyelashes, and then I also use it on my brows. So I recommend checking that out.
That's good advice as well. Piper would like to know, when are you coming to the West Coast? We need to tam and then mimosa.
Well, I would love to come out to California. I've actually never been to California, so that would be so cool. I was already like creeping on, so I don't travel a lot for my job, but I get to go, I have to do CMEs, right? Like, credits and stuff to keep up my credentials. And I was like, well, where can I go to a conference if there's a studio?
Yeah.
There's like one in LA that's next, I think it's in April sometime. And I was like, oh, I can do that. So maybe in April, if it works out.
That would be fantastic. Okay, there continues to be an enormous amount of things in the chat. I'm just going to look at the plans.
That's cool.
And see if we need to desperately ask you anything. What is something important in your life that you want to share with the Tamily?
Oh, that's like a very special. That's a very nice question. Yeah, I think important in my life. I mean, I think specifically, I just want to say too that I am not traditionally a person that does a lot of social media sharing. So this whole like filming myself, videos of myself, just generally, and then like putting said videos onto the internet for public viewing is not something that's like in my wheelhouse. It's certainly not in my comfort zone. And it was like kind of a big deal for me to start doing it. And even like not many people know that I do it. So only really like my best friend and Ben knows. And both of them were like, is this okay? Like, are you okay? Like, this isn't like you losing your mind or something like that. And but it's just been like this really awesome thing. Like, I can't tell you how much like the Tamily means to me. And like, it's been this really just unexpected kind of awesome thing that I didn't even like really know it would become this really great thing. But I'm really outgoing. I'm really, really outgoing, but I'm not necessarily like a good sharer. And so I think there's an incredible intimacy to, again, putting videos of yourself barely clothed on the internet. And there's an incredible vulnerability to that. And so it's really helped me, I think, do more of that in a better way, in a way that's been like really good for me. So I just want to say that I'm really grateful for that.
Well, we're grateful for you sharing. And I love just seeing people at that point of like being silly and engage.
Well, I know how to do that. That I'm good at. So.
And doing your dance videos, they're wonderful. I'm not there yet, but they're fantastically inspirational.
It's not like I had to get there. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not really brave. I just don't know to be afraid. Does that make sense? Like, if something's wrong in your brain that you don't know you're supposed to be embarrassed, it's not really the same thing as being courageous.
It's still good though.
No, I'm trust me, I'm down with it too.
All right, we're gonna alternate with a little bit of a sillier question from Nicole. What's your favorite snack, cracker, pizza topping, and ice cream?
Oh, I was like, is that all one thing? Like,
I'm hoping not.
It could be. Cheez-Its on ice cream. Intriguing. I love the Cheez-Its. I think my love of Cheez-Its has been well documented. So I'm all about those. Pizza topping, I think, was another.
Yep.
Straight cheese.
Okay.
I don't do toppings. Straight cheese. I think you cannot hide. If you make good pizza, you cannot hide behind toppings, right? So if you make a solid crust and the cheese distribution is good and the sauce is good, like that's all I need. I don't need any topping. And ice cream topping, I think, was the other one. So I have to be honest, this is going to be a very unpopular thing to say, but I don't love ice cream. I don't. I like custard, which is different, which is like, like the egg, like really thick stuff, but I tend to like a lot of crap in it, so I like, like mega chocolate volcano, Oreo, M&M, cookie dough, like as much stuff as you can jam into it, like that's what I like.
That sounds awesome.
Lots of chocolate, basically.
We have another beauty question for you.
makes a good highlighter, and so does NARS. I've heard really good things about NARS, but I just don't personally own one.
Well,
but thank you. That's really sweet.
Yeah, your face looks phenomenal. Kat would like to know, what are your Saturday night plans?
Ooh, tonight? Well, I kicked the dog and Ben out of the house. I told him I couldn't be here. So once we reunite, I think we were going to take her swimming. She's a Newfoundland, so they're like meant to be swimmers and stuff. So we're probably going to like go throw her in a, like a swimming ditch somewhere, and she'll go swimming. And then the next 5 hours will be, consumed by blow drying her. So
yeah.
We'll go out. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
Here's another question for you. How do you come up with your TAM challenges?
They just come to me, inspiration. You cannot predict when that kind of thing will strike. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think like the last thing was the arms thing, and it was because I met up with all the girls in Chicago, and everyone had such awesome arm game, and I was like, I don't have full length mirrors like in my tan cave, so I didn't know what I looked like, and I was just like, just so floppy, and I was like, God, this is terrible. Like, I need to step up my game. So yeah, I don't know, just like kind of whenever it strikes me, and it's just I'm a person, I respond really well to challenges, like they're fun little achievable, eatable goals that I can just kind of do, and then you feel like you're doing something and you're motivated by it. So I respond really well to challenges as a motivator, so that's probably what draws me to them.
Absolutely. So I think I've caught up with the chat for now, but everyone is very excited about talking to you. What advice have you received from someone else in the Tamily that's been impactful to you?
Everyone always has really good form tips. So like Maura is always someone that has she just has very insightful things to say about form. So does like Mama Chaba, obviously she always has really lengthy discussions about form and just like the impact of anatomy and stuff like that. So I'm always really appreciative of those. Because I'm not honestly always thinking super hard about that, and I know that I should be. So I'm helpful. I'm always really appreciative for that redirect. Otherwise, actually, the other day, Kim was or the last couple of weeks, Kim has really been just struggling with different injuries and stuff that have kind of limited her. And her and I are super similar in the way that we're very oh, is it hard? I'll do it 6 times. Very drawn to pushing herself super hard, and I think it was really tough for her to kind of have to step back a little bit. She knew she had to. She knew it was super important for her recovery, but it was really hard for her, and I really can understand how that would be the case. And I just thought that her sort of approach to that was really inspiring and very other people have that problem too, and it's okay, and you have to just do what's best for you, and ultimately there's a challenge and strength in accepting that you might not be as strong as you wish you were. And so just lately that was a really valuable lesson for me to have learned from her.
Well, Tam Nation posted that the Tamily is meeting up tomorrow in London with Tracy.
Yeah.
What would you like them to ask her?
Oh my God, that's so cool. Oh my God, what would I even say? If she were in front of me right now, could I even talk? You know what I mean? Would I just be I don't know what to do with my hands? Oh my God, I really can I think about it? Because I want to know. Can I message you later? Is that okay?
Definitely, you can.
Hopefully that's okay. Okay, because I actually want to be thoughtful about this. I don't just want to be why are you so awesome? I don't want to just say something dumb. So I'll think about it. I'll get back to you.
That's Rachel's question about why you're so cute. Okay, so we have 5 minutes left.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah.
There is another question in the chat. I think we covered most of what we had planned. Other than, do you have a motivational quote you would like to share with the Tamily?
Well, I'll default to, okay, so when I was 15, I was starting high school, and I was really nervous because I went to like private school, and I was starting like a really big public high school, and like didn't know anyone. And my mom gave me this card that I still have today, and on the front of it, it says, "The strength of a tree lies in its ability to bend." And I think that it's just a really great reminder of like the import of understanding that there are often things outside of your control, which throughout my life has been hard for me to accept, that I can't control everything. And just your ability to adapt and to respond in a way that's not brittle and not tense will really improve your resilience. Because if you're brittle and you're brittle, you're and stiff, you're just going to break. You're not going to be resilient. You're not going to have that reserve to adapt and expand. So
that's an excellent lesson, especially at the early age of 15.
She was like into those motivational cards, so well, lots of throw magnets.
We're going to continue in our pattern of like serious and silly.
I like it.
And we have another question from Kat, which is, what is your favorite 90s rap or hip-hop jam?
I mean, who doesn't love the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? Don't ask me to do it right now, I won't. But, yeah, who doesn't know that whole thing?
Right.
For one? Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking there should be some kind of a Tamily challenge relative to that.
No, all you need is somebody to start the drum roll.
We'll have to see. So we are approaching your last 2 minutes.
Okay.
While you have this fairly large Tamily audience, what else would you like to say to us?
I just want to say that, again, this is like being a part of like a social media community, like not in my norm way of doing things culturally, like group of people that I associate with and stuff, my friends and family, like not something I would normally do. But I have to say, like, this has just an incredible, inspiring, amazing group of people that I feel genuinely privileged and honored to be a part of, and has been and will continue to be, I'm sure, a huge part of my growth and a huge part of like continuing to become a grown-up, because I don't feel like a grown-up, and maybe I never will, but it's been such a just a huge boon to my self-growth. And I really hope that I can get to meet as many people as possible. I would love to be Miriam and just like travel the globe and meet as many people as possible. Even, just a couple weeks ago, I got to meet a bunch of girls in Chicago, and it was really funny. I was telling Ben, I was like, you know what? The one takeaway I have is how normal everyone is. I mean, because here's the thing. You're just meeting people on the internet. You don't really know, And so, like, you think you do, but, like, you don't know. Like, I've never done internet dating, but, like, I imagine that's also tricky, right? Chemistry, like, your personal, interpersonal chemistry is a tricky bitch. You don't really know, like, how it's going to be to really talk to somebody. And I was just like, all these people, like, not only normal, but, like, I want to hang out with you all of the time. Like, you are just like me, and this is so cool. So it's rare to find a community in this day and age that you feel is genuinely supportive and encouraging and accepting and wants to understand you for who you are. And that's just a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And we really appreciate getting to know you and having a super fun interview.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being our 49th Ask Tamily interview.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I love all of you so much.
We're looking forward to your next challenge.
I'll be there.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Love you all.